right, 5.3F lesson. It's on simple interest, and kids have a hard time with this lesson each year. Okay, now let me explain what this is for. Okay, say that you want to buy a car and it's $5,000, but you don't have $5,000, so you get your rich grandma to loan you 5,000 bucks. Okay, but grandma says to you, I'm going to teach you a little bit about real life and I'm going to charge you a little bit of interest on this. Okay, so grandma would charge you a certain amount of interest just straight up for you to pay on that $5,000 loan. Okay, now in real life, and when you're probably in 10th grade, you'll learn about compound interest. And I want you to think about this. Interest on a purchase like a car or a house gets accrued each day. So if you buy a $5,000 car and you have to pay a certain amount of interest on it, the next day there is more money than $5,000 in your account because, or I should say that you owe, because the interest has been added to it. Okay, and then the second day, not only do you have the $5,000 and the little bit of interest that first day, so it'll be more. Okay, and then the third day, you will have the $5,000 plus the first 2 days that you have that little bit of interest added on it. So each day, there's more and more money that's compounded because it gets added to, the interest gets added each day. Okay, so that's in real life what happens, but you need to understand just very simple interest first. Okay, this is the 7th grade version. All right, so interest, some definitions. Let's get some definitions down first. It's the amount of money paid when borrowing money. Okay, if you go to a bank and get money, they're going to charge you interest so they make money on floating you the funds. Okay, or interest can work to your benefit. It's the amount of money earned when investing money. Okay, so if you have money sitting in an account and it gets paid a certain interest on it, okay, the reverse can happen what I talked about when you buy a car. Okay, so if you have $5,000 sitting in an account and you get paid a certain interest on it, the next day you're going to have more than $5,000 in the account. Now, to take a certain percent of that 5,000 plus that little bit of interest. Okay, so the interest is working in your favor if you have money invested. Okay, the rate is the annual, misspelled it, annual. Did I spell annual? Doesn't look right. The annual percent in decimal form. Okay, make sure it's in decimal form. The principal is the original amount of money borrowed or the original amount of money invested. The time is the amount of time in years. Okay, so if you get a car loan, let's say it's $40,000. Some car loans are 3 years, some are 5 years, some are 6 years, depending how much you want your payment to be and how much you can afford your payment to be. Okay, the longer the term, the longer amount of years, the more years, the more money and interest you'd be paying. Okay, all right, so it says, how do you think you would find out how much interest you make if you invest $1,000 at 3% for 2 years? Okay, so it should make sense that, what if I multiplied together the $1,000 by the 3% by the length in years? Okay, so I could multiply 1,000 by 0.03 by whatever t is in years. Okay, so I'm multiplying these three things together. Remember, the percent is always written in decimal form, and the t always has to be in years. Okay, so the formula that we're going to use is interest equals, and it tells you I is interest, P is principal, R is rate, and T is time. Okay, so we're going to let I equal P, R, T. Okay, is this proportional? Okay, so yes, this is proportional since I equals a constant times an unknown. Okay, here is your formula. I equal PRT. You need to, whoops, sorry guys. You need to have that formula. I equal PRT. All right, we've got a handful of these to try. Suppose you deposit $400 in a savings account. If the interest rate is 5% per year, find the interest earned in 6 years. Okay, so here's our P. Here's our R. Here's our T. We are trying to find the I. Okay, so I equals interest. That's the one that we're trying to find. I equals P, R, T. Okay, this was the P. This was the R as a decimal. 5% is 0.05. 6 years is a 6. Okay, now in your calculator, you're going to multiply these three together to solve for I. 120. So the amount of interest is $120. Okay, Tom invested $1,600 in a 6-month savings certificate that paid simple interest. After 6 months, he had a total of this. Okay, now this is the principal and the interest. This is the principal and interest. Now that is not PANDY. It's the principal and the interest. Okay, this is the principal. This is the time. And we're asked for the rate. Okay, so R is the rate. So we're going to use I equal PRT. So the interest we're going to do this minus this. So that's 98.88 equal principal, rate, 6 months, be careful, years, 0.5. Okay, so let me write a little note here. 6 months. 6 months is half a year. That's where I got the 0.5. All right. And you guys, here I forgot the I equal P R T. It says start with the formula. Okay, always got to start with that formula. All right, now to solve for R, I need to multiply these together first. That comes out to be 800R. And then I divide by the 800 to get the R by itself. 0.1236. Okay, so that's the rate as a decimal, but we want to give it as a percent for the answer. The rate is 12.36%. Okay, and usually rates are ugly like that. Okay. All righty. Next problem. How long will it take $1,200 to earn 150 interest at 10% per year? So here's the principal. Here's the interest. Here's the rate. And the t is our unknown. So t is time in years. I equal PRT. So we've got 150 plugged in where the I is, 1,200 plugged in where the P is, 10% is written like that, T. Okay, to solve this, you multiply these two first. So 150 equals, that comes out to be 120T. Divide by 120. T equals 1.25. So it will take 1.25 years. Okay, so after a year and 3 months, you will have made $150 for your $1,200 just sitting there somewhere. Okay. All right, number 7, suppose you deposit $500 in a savings account. The interest rate is 4% per year. Find the simple interest earned in 6 years. Okay, we're asked to find the interest. We're asked to find the interest. Here's the principal, here's the rate. And then here's 6 years, the time. Okay, so interest, we don't know. I equal PRT. I equal PRT. To solve for I, you're going to multiply all these together. You get 120. So the interest amount is 120 bucks. Find the total of principal plus the interest. You're going to take the principal and add the interest and get 620. The total is 620 bucks. Number 8, John borrowed $900 from his grandma. How much money in interest will his grandma make off John at a rate of 8.25% for 3 months? All right, so I equals interest. I equal PRT. 900 is the P. Interest is the I. This is the rate, and this is the time. Be careful because it needs to be in years. So I equal 900. 0.0825 is the rate. 3 months is a quarter, or 0.25 of a year. To solve for I, you multiply these 3 things together. So the interest amount is $18.56. How much is the total that would need to be paid to John's grandma? Well, you need to give her back the 900 bucks plus the 1856. So 918.56. John owes a total of $918.56. All right, last problem, number 9. Marissa loaned her friend $870 for a new computer. She told her friend she could take 9 months to repay with an additional 11% added onto it. How much money in interest will Marissa make off her friend? Okay, so that's the P. That's the R. 9 months, be very careful. That's the rate, but it's in months. Okay, so I is interest. I equal PRT. I equals 870.11. And 9 months is 3/4 of a year, 0.75. To solve for I, you're going to multiply these three things together and get 71.78. So the interest amount is 71.78. The total amount that needs to be repaid to Marissa is going to be $870 plus 71.78, which is 941.78. The total to be repaid is $941.78. Simple interest, guys. Thank you.